It was so long ago when big news about Robert Kraft grabbed headlines across the nation. The owner of the New England Patriots, along with 200 others, were charged following a sting at an Asian massage parlor in Florida.
But what you don't know is that weeks before that bust, KRDO News Channel 13's Stephanie Sierra was already investigating a number of Asian spas in Colorado Springs.
Tonight she brings you part one of our series, Hidden in Plain Sight. But first, a warning. This story contains very graphic content that is not appropriate for all viewers.
Which is why we're only running this story during our 10 o'clock newscast. Stephanie joins us live tonight right across the street from our own studios at our neighborhood spa. Steph.
Well, Heather and Bart, I didn't have to go very far to find one of these illicit massage parlors in town. Lucky Massage Spa you see behind me may look like an ordinary business, but over the last 4 months, we've kept a special eye on this place, utilizing this rooftop camera. And I've come to realize there's nothing ordinary happening behind here in closed doors.
We drive past them every day. They're in our shopping centers, strip malls, and even some scattered around our neighborhoods. Asian spas open for business. And let's just say these places have a special kind of customer base. Take a look. Men, and more men. These guys aren't really paying for a traditional massage. You know, the ones advertised outside on the windows? Our research shows they're looking for a special kind of treatment. Some call it a happy ending, where the reviews and ads indicate these women will do virtually every sex act if you pay enough. Just ask Colorado Springs Police Lieutenant Mark Compt, who supervises the Vice and Human Trafficking Unit.
They're selling sex. They're showing young girls wearing barely anything. So this business, when posting these ads, is demonstrating that it's a house of prostitution.
And it's all advertised online. Some places take a more subtle approach, selling beauty, showcasing these young Asian women with seduction, while others are shockingly graphic. More on that later. These women are all ranked based on their performance with a site called RubMaps that explicitly reviews erotic spas. We paid for a membership in order to gain access to the reviews. I do want to warn, this is graphic. These women are graded on their physical appearance, hygiene, and even breast size, just to name a few.
So how many are there, and how big of a problem is this? Well, it's not just Paris Spa and this shopping center along Peterson Road. We were surprised. There's actually a total of 36 across the city and the county. Take a look at this map. They are all spread out.
The red dots are spas in the city, and the yellow dots are spas in the county. What they all have in common? Explicit reviews that make it clear these women are selling oral and vaginal sex. Customers usually pay a house fee to enter the spa. That's around $60. But for more involved sex, men are paying up to $150.
The money's paid in cash. There's no credit cards.
This means the more they pay, the more they expect.
And the girl that's performing the act may get a little bit.
But most, if not all of the money, will go to the manager on site, known as the mama-san. This is video of one taking a smoke break outside Paris Spa on April 2nd. The mama-san usually refers to the older Asian woman in charge of the parlor, like Sang White, pictured here, arrested in 2014 for suspicion of human trafficking, pimping, and providing a place for prostitution. And White later pled guilty to prostitution. Yet World Spa is still open, and White still runs it. So I decided to pay her a visit, but as luck would have it, the employees working here wouldn't even let me in. So we came back several days later with our digital content producer, Andrew McMillan.
Hi there.
Who spoke to one of the workers.
I was just curious, are you aware that there are reviews online saying that you can purchase sex acts here at this location? They're all right here. They're all right here on this. You can see it on this review right here. And you can see where it says sex acts for sale on this website right here.
No, we don't.
Well, it does say that.
We don't.
Are you?
I don't know where you get it.
And you're not worried about getting busted again?
We do not do none of that.
Well, we beg to differ. Their most recent review from a John talks about exploiting a 25-year-old girl named Mimi, using explicit and what some may consider abusive language to describe their sex. But yet,
we do not do none of that.
So we surveilled World Spa on March 26. We got there at 8:30 at night. Then at 10 o'clock, closing time, the first open sign turns off. A woman comes out, you can barely see her here, and turns off the second open sign. We watched the front and the back for the next 3 hours. No staff came out. These women are forced to live inside.
Well, it's very sad. One, that their dignity is being stripped from them and they don't even realize it.
Police believe it's common for the women to sleep inside the same spas that they work in, oftentimes sharing beds in the same room. There's roughly 2 sex workers per parlor, times 36 spas. That's totaling around 70 women working in El Paso County alone. So where did these women come from and how did they get here?
They're usually from Korea and China, and they usually come into the West Coast through California and then make their way eastward.
Once arriving in the U.S., these women typically started working in the sex industry in their late teens to early 20s in big cities on the west or east coast.
These women will start out in their younger years in the bigger markets where there's more demand for it, more customer base for it. But then as they age, younger girls come in, take their place as they age. That's where we start to see them in Colorado Springs.
Most between the ages of 30 to 45, circulating through our spas.
They don't feel that there is something else that life has to offer them.
A sad reality, one that people walking by these places wouldn't know about, because many of these women are in the U.S. and don't have much of a choice. This is their home.
Remember all the men who showed up here? Well, what if a woman shows up and wants a massage? I did it myself, and coming up tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'll show you what happened. We're live tonight in Colorado Springs. Stephanie Sierra, KRDO News Channel 13.
We are continuing our exclusive coverage of Asian spas in Colorado Springs.
Tonight, our investigation finds us on the trail of a Korean woman that Homeland Security also wanted to talk with. And as News Channel 13's Stephanie Sierra found out, it was all happening right in plain sight in her own backyard.
Remember this woman? We've showed you her before, taking a quick smoke break outside Paris Spa. We didn't know who she was at the time, let alone her connection to the spa, until months later when we saw her again, handcuffed by Homeland Security. Yes, quite the twist. More on that later. But first, back to Paris Spa. This place, nestled right in the middle of a strip mall along Bismarck Road, is where it all started. A warning though, this material is graphic. We've kept a special eye on this spa given the volume and explicit nature of its reviews and ads, clearly showing these women are expected to provide oral and vaginal sex. This all prompting complaints from neighboring businesses and property owners. But then, it got deeper than that. We got a tip, one that painted a very clear picture of what else could be happening behind closed doors here.
She's doing these bad things. I don't like how she does a sexual job, like a sex manufacturer, like those kind of job. I don't like it.
Those are the words of our source. But in order to protect her identity, we had someone else read her words due to her fear of retaliation from this criminal enterprise. But she had enough evidence to suggest this woman, Hee Kyung-soo, would bring women from Korea to come serve as sex workers at Paris Spa, receiving little money in return. But the tip wasn't just about the brothel.
I wish she would just stop doing this kind of job. That's it.
During this conversation with our source, she said So regularly money laundered upwards of $100,000 back to Korea every 3 months.
I don't like what she's doing.
So we showed up at the Colorado Springs airport on May 30th to speak with So directly.
We knew she was flying out on a 5 o'clock Frontier flight to Vegas. I was about to walk through these doors when I got a call from police told to stand back and post up by these chairs right across from the Frontier Airlines check-in desk.
As I was sitting here, it played out just as our source said it would. So was traveling with her sister and nephew, just as we were told they would. Meanwhile, I was sending updates to police on their whereabouts. Then this happened. Take a look. So walked out, handcuffed by Homeland Security. What we didn't realize at the time, we were in the middle of a sting by the feds. So I followed Homeland Security as they brought her through the airport. then outside. These Homeland Security officers work for Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, or ICE as it's commonly known. Notice that red suitcase they're holding. It's believed to be filled with cash. Shortly after, I watched as they drove her away in this black SUV.
We later learned after So's arrest, she was brought here to the ICE detention center in Aurora. Yet it's unclear what charges, if any, she will be facing before being deported back to Korea.
Leaving us with more questions than answers. But we do know So was here illegally. And we also know that ICE investigates human trafficking, sex trafficking, and money laundering. But it's unclear just how long So will be held here. Despite the fact she was clearly arrested, the DOJ reports no formal charges are currently filed against her. Which begs the question, could she be used as an informant? Well, it's possible, according to Mary Ladderholm, a social worker in the anti-trafficking movement.
There's also different nuances in this issue. Is she being forced to run this brothel? Is she herself being trafficked? We don't know always from the surface level of what an experience looks like.
Right after the bust, Paris Spa closed. But we don't know what happened to the sex workers forced to work and live inside.
Every survivor I've met wants a better life. They want to not be exploited. They want to have access to employment. They want to live and have access to education and live just as we all do.
We can only hope these women seen here in this surveillance footage taken back in April were properly rescued with an opportunity for a better life.
A new expose of hiding in plain sight, our investigation into Southern Colorado Asian spas. For 8 months now, our team has uncovered many layers of illegal activity, including prostitution, but the worst being human trafficking going on right in our own backyard.
And since May, we have prompted action from City Council, the state, and the spas themselves. But candidly, we were shocked by the response from one of the most important groups involved in enabling these illicit businesses to keep operating. The property owners, the people leasing space to those spas.
Investigative reporter Stephanie Sierra joins us live now from Japanese Spa off South Academy. And Stephanie, as you found out, most of these owners feel no responsibility in addressing that problem.
Well, Bart and Heather, here are some of the 36 letters I sent each and every property owner leasing space to these illicit spas in both the city and the county. We wanted to make them aware of the illegal activity going on, but in almost every case, the owner denies it's their problem.
And you get that camera out of here.
Are you aware that you are leasing to an illicit massage parlor?
From chaos and anger to casual conversation.
Are they going to continue to look the other way and allow this kind of activity?
We saw it all from each and every property owner or registered agent leasing to these illicit spas. Some were civil.
You guys have a great day. It's good talking to you.
All I know is that he's been out of the country.
Or candidly, didn't like our questions.
Can you stop it?
Okay.
And then also, can you stop it?
What was that?
Okay, I'm not going to talk to you.
As for the others, well, they didn't make it to the door. Instead, quick on their feet to run away, close up shop, and ignore our questions.
We're looking for Sarah. Wait, he's here. He's back.
All while hiding in their home or office.
Sir, we just want to get a comment from your side.
We traveled all across the state with the intention to get all sides and alert this group of the illegal activity going on under their watch. But for most cases, what started as a simple question.
I just had a couple questions for you regarding the story we're working on.
What do you got?
Are you aware of what's going on inside? That's a whole part of the story, sir.
Quickly turned belligerent, like Michael Reeg, who we had a scheduled interview with. And hostile.
Daddy, turn that shit off. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Simply put, most of these property owners appear to feel no responsibility to stop this. Take John Litherland, for example. Unlike most property owners who lease out their entire strip mall, this man leases a single-family home he owns directly to an illicit spa.
Don't you feel you have an obligation, though, as the landlord? You have the authority here to end this.
I don't believe I have an obligation.
During the interview, I shared with him proof of the explicit reviews made about Sweet Relax therapy.
I know this exists throughout Colorado Springs. I agree with you.
Yet, despite holding the proof in his hand, he never addresses my question.
But I believe you're incorrect.
Will you take another look? Because that's the proof for you right there.
That right there is what we saw time and time again. Why? It's all about the rental income and looking the other way.
And I have nothing to do with this, okay?
Just like Gary Winiger, a prominent real estate management executive in Colorado Springs. His company, Griffith's Blessing, manages the property where one of the spas with the most explicit sale of sex is located, Shiatsu Health Spa, now renamed to Japanese Spa.
All we do is collect the rent, make sure the property is clean, and that sort of thing.
But you have the power to do
I
something.
don't have the power to do anything.
Well, we beg to differ.
That statement of no authority to do anything, that didn't add up.
Just a simple review of their website with attorney Deborah Fortenberry, who specializes in commercial real estate law, made it clear Winiger's company does have the power to step in.
On their website, they offer commercial property services, lease administration, property management, tenant relations, and legal risk management.
Does legal risk management include authorizing legal action against a tenant for breaking the law?
Yes, it does. That's usually within a typical commercial property management agreement.
Not to mention, a typical commercial lease prohibits illegal activity by a tenant on the premises, giving the property manager and the landlord the authority to evict.
It has never been easier to take action.
That's because of a recent law passed in Colorado that streamlined the eviction process when it comes to troubled tenants.
It makes it easier for landlords and their agents, including the property managers, and even their lawyers to evict.
But unlike Winiger and his colleagues, our coverage has prompted some to take action, or at least promise to, like the owners of the shopping center that leased to Bangkok Thai Spa.
Will you make it a priority to shut this business down?
Have to. Yeah, I understand. Have to do.
And the owners of My Massage Place.
I certainly think you have a hand in this, ma'am.
Attempting to deal with it and evict them.
We heard that from 18 other property owners. But until these places actually shut down, that promise is just lip service. We'll be watching.
Griffith's Blessing since has told us that they have notified the property owners leasing space to Japanese Spa and alerted them to these accusations and specifically the ads that have been posted online and the reviews on rubmaps.com. But as of tonight, it's still operating. We're live in Colorado Springs. Stephanie Sierra, KRDO News Channel 13.
Stephanie, great reporting once again. One final note we want to point out, the interview with Michael Rieg was scheduled beforehand.
Our team was invited onto their property before the situation escalated.
The camera. Get it out of here. Seriously.
Well, it is never our intention to become part of the story, but in this particular case, police did cite Rieg with a harassment charge. He is due in court this Friday.
And good evening, I'm Bart Bedsole.
And I'm Heather Skold. Thanks for making us your choice for your news at 10 o'clock tonight. A new development in our investigation into Southern Colorado Asian spas. Earlier today, Colorado Springs City Council met to talk about a law passed in Aurora that allowed the city to shut down nearly all of its illicit spas.
But as Stephanie Sierra explains tonight, the tougher rules didn't entirely eliminate the problem, but placed the burden elsewhere, a trend we could soon see happen in our area as well.
There's no question city leaders in Aurora did a phenomenal job shutting down most of their illicit parlors. But as our news partners in Denver discovered, all that illegal activity didn't travel far.
19 illicit Asian spas shut down in Aurora in just over a year. Regulations so effective, it became a domino effect.
And it got so bad that we had to take action.
This is Aurora City Councilman Charlie Richardson, one of the brains behind this ordinance that tightened regulation of massage parlors back in 2018. The ordinance prohibits things like people living inside the business, odd hours of operation, lingerie attire, Sexual advertising online, plus requires pre-screening to verify the ownership has no prior criminal ties. See, these rules worked for Aurora, and law enforcement is enforcing it by inspecting the remaining spas. But the problem didn't go very far. As our news partners in Denver discovered, the spas forced out just reopened next door in Denver's city limits, where the rules restricting illegal activity are lax, to say the least.
Denver doesn't have a lot of regulations for massage parlors.
Trevor Vaughn works in Aurora's tax and licensing division.
I think a big part of Denver's issue is there's not a pre-screening of the business before they get a license. And additionally, when they see things that are signs of illicit massage businesses, they don't violate Denver's ordinance.
The same problems we're seeing here in Colorado Springs, which is why we're urging City Council to take action.
Richard, where is this on your priority list?
It's a big priority, and we've all been watching the local coverage that you've been doing, and it is more of an issue than we realized, and so we want to see what options are out there.
As the city moves forward with legislation, we can only expect what happened in Denver to happen here in El Paso County.
I think in order for us to be able to solve this,
a problem El Paso County Commissioner Mark Waller is ready to tackle.
This shouldn't be a circumstance where we're playing whack-a-mole, where we knock it out of business in one place and it opens up and operates somewhere else. We got to get at the root of the problem. You know, we have to attack this from a criminal justice perspective.
Because this problem won't stop here.
Red Maps reported 30 illicit spas in Aurora 2 years ago. Now 19 of those are currently shut down, with 8 now being reported as non-erotic, leaving only 3 illicit spas left. Stephanie Sierra, KRDO News Channel 13.
As a post note to one of our earlier stories, you may remember this woman, Hae Kyung So. We took this video of her outside Paris Spa, which she owned, and later showed you her arrest at the Colorado Springs airport on May 30th. So has since been released from the ICE detention facility in Aurora, but investigators are still tight-lipped on why she was detained in the first place. We will continue to update you as we learn more.
Tonight, a post note to our year-long investigation, Hiding in Plain Sight. As we told you last week, Council President Richard Skorman announced the city will use the public nuisance ordinance to shut down illicit spas in Colorado Springs. But as investigative reporter Stephanie Sierra has found out, so far, that has not happened.
It's just before noon on the Tuesday before Christmas Eve. A few customers are stopping by Strathmore Liquor. Meanwhile, Ocean Dream Spa is open for business. This spa, located in a strip mall along B Street, used to be named Dream Spa, but the owners changed it after the women working here were busted for prostitution, a misdemeanor charge that only requires a fine. Same story with one spa, also in a strip mall, also busted for prostitution, and yes, also still fully operational. 2 weeks prior to learning of these busts, I sat down with City Council President Richard Skorman, pressing him on the city's lack of progress addressing this illegal activity over the past 6 months.
What's being done now?
Well, what we have done, and it's really through the mayor's office as well, is to allow the city to use what we call our public nuisance ordinance. And we can shut down the business and board up the door and seize the property. There's really no bigger remedy out there than that.
Well, these businesses may be shut down under the public nuisance ordinance, but the legislation won't prohibit these spas from just reopening down the street. We've seen it time and time again in the city. It's not solving the problem.
Well, that's all we can do. I mean, I think Aurora probably has similar situations.
Well, they actually don't, because the ordinance is much more specific. I'm reading it right here. It prevents that business from reopening for at least 2 years.
And that's a part that I really do, I think, want to look at as a city council. I think that 2-year timetable, but let's first see if they do.
So I asked police if one spa, an Ocean Dream Spa, were subsequently shut down following the audit. I was told no, because neither spa met the criteria for a public nuisance. Yet, according to the legislation, prostitution, soliciting prostitution, pandering, keeping a place of prostitution, pimping, or public indecency is the first section listed. We were left puzzled. So just to clarify, we took this part of the code to criminal defense attorney Steve Rodemer.
under the city code, I think it definitely does rise to the level of a public nuisance. So it tells me that the city's not prioritizing it under the public nuisance statute.
It appears not to be a priority, given the fact these 2 spas that clearly meet the criteria for a public nuisance still remain open, frustrating nearby business owners like Blanca Reyes.
Are very dangerous things for the community. I think they have to do something.
And others who frequent these shopping centers, like Uwe Walker.
They have to take other measures. They should enforce it.
We'll be watching.
And we have since requested an interview with Richard Scorman, Mayor John Suthers, and Police Chief Vince Niski to discuss why the public nuisance ordinance isn't being used. We have yet to hear back.